Hello, my friends. I am so thrilled to have you guys here with me and have you be a part of this amazing new journey. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Daisy Mae Thomas, and this podcast is all about being set apart and following the Lord in a world that moves us the opposite direction. And so, this is a space where we're going to grow in our faith. We are going to talk about Jesus, and we're going to bring people in and for them to share their message. And so we're going to just hear all these different perspectives through adoption, through encountering the Lord, through just everything. And so I'm just glad I get to share everything with y'all. And so before we start with all of that, I would like to personally share my own story of just my adoption process and my testimony. So yeah, let's begin. So I was adopted when I was 8 years old from Uganda into America. My village was called Nebi. So my mom died when I was 2 years old. And so I was having to like be taken care of by my family, which they had their own families to take care of. And so this is where the orphanage comes in. When one parent is gone and the other one doesn't really care to take care of you, you are an orphan. It's not your grandmother's responsibility to take care of you. It's not anybody's responsibility, and so that's just the culture there. But the Lord came through. So they had built a children's home in my village, Nebi, called Acres of Hope. Cool story. My mom actually got to name it, and you'll get to hear her side in the near future. And so I was planted at Acres of Hope with other children there my age, and so there was like at that time four houses, two for girls and two for boys, and I don't know if it was more of like an experiment to see how it was all gonna do, but we had each pod, they called it the pods. Each pod had one caregiver, one mom, one dad, that just took care of the children that was in that pod. And so Acres of Hope was has to be my earliest memory of Uganda, aside from me going back, but we're talking about my childhood. And so yeah, I grew up there. I found my family there. I was taken care of. I was fed. And so my favorite part of just being there was playing. I liked school. I don't really remember much, but I know like everyday life, we would go to school, eat lunch, go back to school, come back, and we just got to play. And so playtime was like my favorite. Um, we didn't really have toys like Americans have here, and so we were having to create our own games, which we didn't mind. We just found joy in literally anything because we didn't have much. And so we made fun of nothing. We made fun out of nothing, and it was amazing. I just remember just creating little games like with rocks, whatever we could find, we played with it, you know. And music was a big part, so we would always play the drums. We would be dancing. We were just joyful kids, and we were just happy and grateful to be alive and grateful to have food in our bellies and all this other stuff. The only downside to that was when it came to discipline, that was always just hard and very scary at times. I just remember, like I don't even know what it was, but like there was just a lot of beating, all in all, and so I think that traumatized me for a very long time when it came to discipline when I moved here. But yeah, I lived there for all of my African life, you know, and there were a lot of visitors that came to Acres of Hope, and one just happened to be my mom, KB Thomas, and we just throughout the years we grew our relationship. I could tell there was something different from me and her with the other kids, and um didn't know what the Lord had in line for us, and I am so grateful that I am here today with her. And so just throughout the years, like she would come almost not even every year, but like I would see her like 3 months, 6 months, like it was it was never a full year. Sometimes it was, but like I saw her a lot, and again, our relationship just grew. And I just remember one time, like I was asked to if I wanted to make Big Mama my mom, like for real, and I was like, oh yeah. And so throughout that adoption process, I really didn't understand much. I just remember like I'm probably going to get to spend the rest of my life with this amazing um person. Mungu is what we call them. Not Mungu. That's God. I'm sorry. Mzungu is what we called white people in Africa. And so I was just happy, you know. And so they moved me out of the orphanage once my adoption process started, and I got to spend every second with my mom, and it was wonderful. Again, I didn't understand what was all going on. I was just happy to be there, you know. The only thing was I was away from my friends a lot of the time because of the adoption process, having to travel, just paperwork and all of this stuff. And I was away from my friends, my family, and you know, again, I didn't really understand. So just happy to be there, but you know, there was still a part of me that was sad that I wasn't with my friends. You know, I wasn't playing, I wasn't doing the same stuff they were doing. Coming to America, I found it very sad and very exciting at the same time. Because you know, I finally realized, oh, this is for real. I'm actually going to America. And back then, like how America was planted into our minds was this was heaven, you know, like this is the Holy Land, like. And so you know, I was just excited, like I get to go to heaven, like it was finally happening. But you know, just like being across the country from your friends and family is not going to be easy. And again, just not understanding that I was going to have to adapt, and things were about to change, like everything was about to change. And that's the part I didn't realize until I actually stepped foot in America. And again, it wasn't anything like I expected, but I think I was just so thrilled to. I remember, like, even when we got home. Oh, funny story. When we landed into the airport, or just in general, I didn't know there was black people in America. And so that was one thing that I was like, oh my gosh, you look like me. You're the same color as me when I got to see it. And so that was like, there's black people here, you know? There's black people in heaven. um, but yeah, no, I remember just coming home finally after visiting and getting to meet all the people that knew me that I didn't know, and coming home and seeing my room and just like my heart just bursting with happiness. Like, oh my goodness, like I have everything. I have things I've never had before. My closet was full with clothes and shoes I could wear for eternity. Like in Africa, yeah, I only like had like 4 pairs of clothes that I would have to rotate. But oh my gosh, you know, just colorful. My room was beautiful, all the toys in the world, just all of it. It was just like a orphan an orphan's dream, and a little girl's that never had anything to having everything in front of her eyes. And I don't like I just remember like the joy that I showed my mom, the joy I felt, and it was beautiful, you know? And yeah, so adapting, I feel like it wasn't hard, but it was in a way, like especially with the food the most, like I think I stuck to kind of like my African food. Like we would make beef stew, we would make chicken stew, we would just make a lot of stews because that's what I ate. And oh my gosh, the amount of rice I had. My mom will have to tell you about that. I don't remember how many pounds of rice I ate in a year, but she said it was a lot. And so it's so funny that y'all will get to hear my perspective, and then y'all will get to hear my mom's. I'm more excited about my mom's perspective because she remembers more than I do. Like my little girl mind, I just remember snippets or nuggets. And so That's what y'all are getting from me. But yeah, just adapting. I remember food wise, like it was a little harder. Like my mom would try to make me try stuff. I would throw up, like all of that good stuff. I think I've been put a picture of me trying zucchini and just having throw up. But she always prompted me. She would be like, if you try this, I get to take you to ice cream and blah blah blah. And so my favorite food here, like restaurant wise, was Los Portales. Simple, plain Jane. I like the guacamole. I would eat rice and beans like a lot because in Africa, almost every day I ate rice and beans. And so it was just similar. And so we would go there like once a week, twice a week. When I did good in school, that's where we would go. And so yeah, what else, just that friends, my mom and I, we were planted in a church, and so there were kids my age that I got to grow up with, um and so and do life with life groups, all of that. It really became hard when I started school. I And still from this day, I just always knew I was different, not just because I was from Africa, but just because of just the worldliness of the environment I will always be around. And I desired difference. And so being in school and like kids knowing that I was from Africa, it gave them a pass to, especially like my friends, it gave them a pass to make fun of me without me, like, although they were my friends, like they would say a lot of racist stuff. Like as a kid, I don't even remember how old we were in elementary, but I was a little older than all of them. So I got made fun of for starting school late and being a little older, being from Africa, all that good stuff. And so it was just hard, like adapting with school, and it became easier. I feel like I found a few good friends that I mean the Lord gave me in seasons, but they're not in my life now, but the Lord just pulled through every time, but just getting made fun of because I had a short haircut. Like we yeah, I had a relaxer before I moved here, and my mom decided to shave my head. Didn't really care because I had my head shaved so many times back home. It was just normal, but here it wasn't normal for a little girl to have a buzz cut, and so like just stuff like that. Like I just remember I would come home crying a lot. And there were times where it got really hard, and I think depression or homesick just came, like would just come in for a few, and my mom would have to just prompt me out of it and do stuff to lighten me back up. But I think that was one of the hardest, and that's like just school and it being me, just being me just being from another country, me having an accent, me looking different, me talking different. It became to a point where comments were made, oh, you talk too proper and all this good stuff. Whatever. Like me now, I'm like, yeah, thank you, education, stuff like that. But like back then, that would hurt me awfully bad, because I did try to fit in. I did try to find the right friends to be around and all this stuff, and it just nothing ever went my way in that area. My friends were my teachers. I adored them, and they happened to adore me, and so they were just people that I knew I could trust no matter what, that they were not going to allow the bullying. They weren't going to, do ABC. And so I thank y'all for that. I gave you just nuggets of adapting to here, um, from Africa to here. So throughout, I've always been in a church. My mom has always been in a church. I've always been a part of the church. But like even being a part of the church, even at a younger age, of course, we're going because our parents are going. They're waking us up, let's go to church, this and that, and Sunday school, and them prompting us with snacks and teaching us all the little nuggets of the Bible, the story, John 3:16, and all this good stuff. I was a part of all of that. And the desire to get baptized finally popped up, but that was because I saw other kids getting baptized. I don't think it was because I knew what was at hand. I knew God the way that he was getting spoken about. I was at my age, I was sleeping church. I wasn't paying attention to, the messages and stuff like that. But the cool part was my mom got to baptize me, and that baptism, wasn't always a sign that I gave, or my Christian life at that age, even a little growing up into, junior high and high school, wasn't a part that I truly gave people until my late high school years. And so just having to find myself in faith, I struggled because again, I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to, I think, be liked, be loved by people. And so maybe I overdid myself just with how allowed people to enter my life and even use me at times. And the places I would go with them, the things, it was just, I was in a worldly environment, and I allowed myself to be that worldly and still went to church and did that. And so I even told a few people as I was telling them my testimony, I felt like I had two different lives, to be honest. And it having to, it just doesn't work out. You have to choose one or the other. And I was trying to balance both, and so I think it it came to a point where the Lord was like knocking, and I wasn't listening. He kept knocking. I wasn't listening, and he allowed stuff to happen for me to finally get a breakthrough. And so yeah, I think I genuinely encountered my faith when I was a sophomore or junior, but one of those in high school. And ever since, it hasn't been perfect, but I have never turned, I have never looked away, and I don't desire to. And that changed a lot. Like me finally locking in with the Lord allowed, just like that opened my eyes to seeing how worldly I was actually living, and that opened doors for people, for me to feel comfortable to let certain people go, to let certain things go. And like my whole circle of friends changed, my heart had changed, and so I wasn't going to put up with the things that I put up then, because I knew there was something better aside from all of that. And so yeah, I was alone most of the time. I felt lonely at times, but it wasn't to I at the same time I didn't really care. I didn't desire the things I did. I didn't want to be a part of the things that I was a part of. I wanted in my heart longed for the Lord more than it longed for those things. And so again, just my circle, my environment, everything just changed from there, and I couldn't be happier with just where I am at and where the Lord has placed me to be. And it's just, I'm just so in awe with just how everything just played out, from becoming an orphan to getting adopted, and to the Lord redeeming and healing parts of me that I I that I was holding on to. And so I just want to encourage you that if you are young and you are trying to figure yourself out, don't allow the world to do that for you. If you are someone who wants so wholeheartedly to just fit in, fitting in isn't always a good thing. It will corrupt you. And if you are trying to lean on your own understanding, don't. Let the Lord do it for you. And it's never too late to shift. It's never too late to run back. It's never too late to, have a change of heart. And so I hope that just hearing this encourages you in a way, not just to, um go back to the Lord, but to view just life outside of America, you know, to have that perspective, just knowing that there are kids out here that needs a little bit more loving, that needs sponsorship, that needs anything, that needs just a little bit more love. And the world now, it's just so heartbreaking. My heart breaks, and I wish I could just give and do all the things, but that's it's just not up it's just not, you know, all that I can't, you know. And so just, you know, just pray and just ask the Lord to guide you. um you know, what is it that your purpose is? What is it that he is trying to get your attention? What is it that he wants you to do to help those in need, to help his children, to help your neighbors, to help your friends, you know? We're called to be set apart. And it starts from when we were born until us living now. That's where it starts. It We have always known God, but where's our heart? What is our heart posture? What does our heart desire? Because if it's not the Lord, your heart will never be satisfied. Is your heart satisfied? So just ask yourself those questions and just be reminded that at the end, even if you will never reach your full potential, you will never know what you truly have until you lean in. And we will just never encounter it all until we are with Him, you know? And so, if you are needing to fix your heart posture, I just ask that you pray wherever you are right now for that. If you are being called to step more and lean into the Lord, I will ask you to pray and do just that. If you are being called to give, if you are being called to travel and share the gospel, if you are being called to sponsor a child, I will ask that you pray and do just that. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it encourages you, and I hope that you always lean on the Lord's understanding instead of yours.